I think it goes without saying that exercise and training can help you to live a longer, healthier life.
Yeah, you'd think so.
However, did you know that there's 5 specific things that you can start doing today that science has actually shown can lead directly to a longer, healthier life?
I didn't know that.
So if you're like Jesse and you want to know what those are, I'm going to give you the actionable things for you to do so you can start making an impact starting today.
Your strength and your well-being. Grip strength, for instance, is a very good predictor of cognitive ability in later age.
And of course, we don't have to look any further than my good friend Dr. Andrew Huberman for the first indication of what you need to be working more on, and that is grip strength and maximizing grip strength. Because grip strength is not only something that's going to fortify you and help you to live a longer, healthier life with higher quality, but it's also something that can be an indicator of your overall state of readiness or recovery. And I talked about that in previous videos. But how do you actually work it? Well, one of my favorite ways to do this is with a simple bar hang. That's it. It's called a dead arm hang. And all you have to do is just get up on a bar with your arms straight and try to hang for as long as possible. Now, some might find this to be incredibly challenging. Jesse?
Yes, that was very challenging when we did that for the bar hang
We
challenge.
did a bar hang challenge, and of course I wiped Jesse off the face of the earth on.
It's not fair. You do this all the time.
But what you want to be shooting for is at least a minute on the bar hang and upwards of 2 minutes or longer. But of course, the important thing is not where you start, but what you build up to. So taking whatever it is right now and then building upon that is the best plan of action. And what I like to do is recommend just a bar hang in the morning. And I've said this in other videos that you get other benefits of spinal decompression and shoulder mobility. So you're getting a better overall bang for your buck when it comes to improving your overall health. As Dr. Peter Attia says, your fall risk will increase as you get older. Your ability to stop yourself by maybe grabbing something to prevent your fall becomes that much more important. Working on your grip, guys, is something you can't overlook and something you can now start training every day.
So the heart rate recovery is important in determining overall fitness and is useful in determining the presence of cardiovascular disease.
And this here is actually a very interesting area of training because a lot of the focus is on VO2 max training, which we'll talk about here momentarily. But what about your ability to recover from those max heart rate efforts? So how fast after you go as high and as hard as you can you get back closer to baseline? Because that is an indicator of overall heart health. Well, we have a way we can train that actually in the gym or even at home, and it's called FAT training.
What do you call them fat?
PHAT. It's called peripheral heart action training. It's actually very, very simple in structure. You take 6 exercises: an upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body, total body, and core exercise. And you perform each of these exercises for 30 seconds with no rest in between them. And the significance of the peripheral heart action portion of the name of this system is because it's referring to that upper, lower distribution of blood flow that will increase your overall efficiency of being able to deliver blood to tissues that are in need of it. Now, we actually have a great way to objectively measure your improvement here too, which leads directly to your ability to increase your heart rate recovery. So what you do is you measure your resting heart rate before you even perform the first exercise. And if you're looking for a sample routine here that you could do with just dumbbells, you would start with a dumbbell push press. And whatever weight you could use for, let's say, your 15 rep max, that would be the weight that you would use through the entire duration of this circuit. And then go into a dumbbell jump squat for 30 seconds, and then a dumbbell curl for 30 seconds, and a dumbbell swing with just one of the dumbbells for 30 seconds, followed by a dumbbell clean, and then let's say a sit-up elbow thrust. And what happens is at the end of that, you immediately take your heart rate measurement again. And you want to see how quickly you can return back to baseline. You don't begin your next round until you've reestablished at least a 10% increase from your resting heart rate. So if you started at 100, once you got back to 110 beats per minute, you start your second round. And you keep doing that until you've completed 5 to 6 rounds. That being said, as you improve in your ability to perform these circuits more efficiently, your resting heart rate will recover faster. And if you can get yourself all the way to the point where you're knocking off 23 beats per minute or so, or at least 20 beats per minute on the recovery, you're becoming a lot more healthy and fit and have a much healthier heart. The bottom line is heart rate recovery is an indicator, and a serious one at that, in terms of predicting your overall health and longevity.
If you're over the age of 65, and you fall and break your hip, your 1 year morbidity is about 30 to 40%. Which again, just to put that in English, if you're 65 or older, you fall and break your hip, there's a 30 to 40% chance you're dead in a year.
Third up in your list of skills to take action on is one that Jesse actually knows all too well, unfortunately, and that is
balance.
Balance training.
Yeah, if anyone knows about my history, they know I've had a history of concussions and head injuries, and balance was something that was completely thrown off and was something I had to work on in rehab, and it's been the hardest thing for me to get back.
So balance, like anything else, is a skill, right? It's a motor skill that we can improve upon if we actually work on it, because you will lose balance capabilities as you age, and unfortunately, it leads directly to increased fall risk. And as we know, increased fall risk as you get older leads directly to an increase in mortality, because it's very hard to recover once you break a hip and the rest of your system starts to slow down, or at the worst, shut down. So what can you do to improve your balance? There's a lot of things you can do, and again, this starts at any age. The first thing you can do is something called a hip shift here. And this is a very simple exercise, but not if you actually focus on how to do it correctly. What you want to do is on the leg that remains in contact with the ground, you want to make sure that that hip does not float out to the side as you lean to the opposite side, because that would indicate a weak glute medius, or abduction strength of the hip. So you have to make sure that that stays tucked under you as you shift your weight to the opposite side. The idea here is, can you perform this for 30 to 60 seconds without either wobbling or, worse, falling over? Now, if you want to take this to another level, try closing your eyes. You see, once you take away the visual feedback that you're getting from your environment through your eyes, you become that much more reliant on the strength of the muscles in the hip, and also the proprioceptive capabilities of your ankle that are in contact with the ground, feeling these minute changes in body shifting. Now, if you want to take this to the weight room, you can perform an exercise like the single leg cable RDL. And what's nice about this is we're not just getting the same balance benefits here, but I'm also driving through hip extension to train the glute maximus on top of the fact that we're controlling that frontal plane too.
Or the one that I really like to do in PT, which was the single leg
Perturbations, Jesse.
Perturbations?
Perturbations.
Single leg perturbation.
Shows where his mind is at. We're talking about any exercise where you just stand on a single leg and hold the band, and you either move it to the side, little bits at a time, or front to back, basically trying to disrupt your balance and challenge it at the same time that the band has actually got that bounce effect to it to make it even that much more difficult. Bottom line is, some way, somehow, you have to work on the skill of balance, and even just including 30 seconds to 45 seconds of each drill, 3 or 4 drills a day, is enough to dramatically improve your ability and at the same time decrease that mortality risk and risk of falling.
So any discussion of aging must begin with some understanding of what's happening to a muscle as it ages. And one of the things that's happening is the type 2 or the fast twitch muscle fibers are atrophying. This is a significant problem because it's those type 2 fibers that are responsible for power.
And once again, Dr. Peter Attia nails this one, and why I like this so much in this recommendation is because it not only is going to require you to do a specific type of training, but it's going to more globally require you to at least make sure you're lifting weights. A lot of people don't consider that as a mandatory part of an overall strength and conditioning program or a fitness program, and I'm telling you, it has to be. But specifically when it comes to type 2 fiber size, the significance here is immeasurable. Now, a lot of people will focus on strength loss as they get older. Did you know that strength loss is much less significant from year to year than the loss of muscle fiber size, and specifically the type 2 fibers?
Really?
What that leads to is actually a decrease in power output. So whenever you do something, you have to have the strength to move the weight, but the speed to move the weight quickly. So how can we maximize that? You want to make sure that you're performing at least a few exercises that remove, let's say, the eccentric focus and focus solely on your ability to accelerate the weight that you're using. So for me, something like a med ball slam. I don't have to worry about eccentrically controlling that weight. I'm accelerating the weight down to the floor. Or, more importantly for the upper body, I like rotational med ball work. So when I can actually throw the ball into a wall and not have to worry about decelerating my arms in the process, I could fully explore and realize my true power potential. If we're talking about lower body, we can do something like a box jump.
I love box jumps.
Box jumps are great. They do have a little bit of an eccentric component where your feet hit the box and having to kind of decelerate your body down. But again, off the floor, it's truly an explosive concentric activity that will force these fibers to react more quickly. Nerve conduction time decreases as we get older. It's why reaction time gets worse and worse as we get older. And again, even when we talk about falling, if you had faster recovery time and reaction time of your feet, you might be able to stop yourself from falling and prevent all the bad things we just talked about. The bottom line is type 2 fiber training is not just reserved for elite athletes, but it's something that you want to preserve as you get older to maximize your longevity and overall health.
Everybody knows that if you smoke or have diabetes, your risk of death goes up a lot. But your risk of death from having high cardiorespiratory fitness goes down by much more than your risk of death goes up from smoking or diabetes. So smoking and diabetes will double or triple your risk of death, depending on the time frame you're looking at. having very high cardiorespiratory fitness, so having a VO2 max that is elite, we would define that as the top 2.5% of the population, compared to below average, is a 5-fold reduction in all-cause mortality. Wow. Death from any kind.
Whoa.
I mean, we don't have drugs that have a 5x reduction in mortality.
I have to admit, it was this appearance on Joe Rogan that actually introduced me to the work of Dr. Peter Attia.
Yeah.
The thing is, when it comes to Zone 5 training, it's one of those things that's just not comfortable. And a lot of people probably want to forget about it, but you can't, because it has a significant impact on your overall longevity and health. And what people are referring to when it comes to Zone 5 is simply a percentage of your maximum heart rate. So let's say your maximum heart rate is 180 beats per minute. 50% of that would be 90 beats per minute. That would be Zone 1. You work your way up, Zone 2, 60 to 70%, Zone 3, 70 to 80%, Zone 4, 80 to 90%. Well, Zone 5 is all the way up in the 90 to 100% of your max heart rate.
The place where it really sucks.
Yeah, that means that you're actually really huffing it to get that work done. Now, you're not expected to stay here for a very long period of time, but you do have to make sure that you're checking this box each week to make sure that you're optimizing your overall cardiac output and health. So how you can do this is with a simple 3-2-1 protocol, for example. And that is, you do 3 minutes of a Zone 2 or slow jog, followed by 45 seconds of an all-out sprint, as hard as you possibly can, followed by 2 minutes of that Zone 2 low-intensity jog, and then 30 seconds of an all-out maximum sprint, and then 1 minute of that jog, and then 15 seconds of that all-out maximum sprint. And you go back and you repeat for 4 or 5 rounds. The idea here is that the recovery in between those high cardiac output moments is necessary to prepare you to be able to deliver, again, that really high output each time it's called upon. If you want a simpler protocol, you can jog for 4 minutes and then follow it with 1 minute of all-out maximum sprinting. And again, it's at this point you're not really going to be able to comfortably talk or breathe here. You should be gasping during this 1 minute of work. The goal of this type of training is to ultimately improve your body's VO2 max, which is just a fancy way of saying its efficiency or ability to deliver blood to the working muscles.
I know which working muscle I need blood flowing to.
I was just going to say that this is hard work, but I think I'm just feeding into your problems here. It is hard activity, though, and you shouldn't shy away from it. In fact, you should embrace them if it's overall longevity and health that you're interested in. Speaking of, if you're interested in living a better quality of life, there's 12 early predictors of very poor health you're going to want to make sure that you take into consideration. You can watch that video here. If you're looking for a full program, guys, you can find it over at athletenext.com. And also, if you haven't done so, make sure you click subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video from us when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon.